Jesus asks a powerful and poignant question, as only he can do. I want to follow up his question with this question. How long would you like to be in the condition that you're in? How long would you like to be emotionally not quite where you want to be? I might ask, how much longer? How much longer? How much longer do you want to be unhealthy financially? How much longer do you want to be in relationships that don't really serve you, feed you, help you become your best? I feel a spirit to break up something today. It's going down. Tell somebody it's going down. Our ability to get whole, to get well, begins with our desires. Desires are a powerful thing. In the Gospels, we hear this: whatsoever you desire, believe that you have. God gives us almost carte blanche, right? Not on bad desires, that would be inconsistent with his character, but he says if you desire something, that's the beginning. I can work with you. Some of us have suppressed our desires way too long because we are perhaps afraid that our desires cannot be realized. And so we're waiting for just the right thing to happen for your desires to come to pass. But desires must be followed up with decision. Am I going too fast here? If you have the desire, you will have to make a decision. Desire is my will. It is my longing. It is my want. But you can want. Ask your neighbor, what do you want? Isn't it interesting how people want things? They want good health. They want more wealth. They want a sexy body. Lord have mercy, I'm trying my best. They want stability, but they hang out with people who are not stable. It is desire. I can end this sermon right here on 3 words. It's desire, decision, don't fall, lesser athlete, doing. Because in the interest of what you desire, you must decide. To decide means that you must off-cut. That's what decide is in the Latin. It is de, which means off, desire, cut. I cannot go left and go right. I know that this is my right. I'm working with y'all. I can't, if I decide that I'm going this direction, I can't also go in that direction. And so by the nature of decision, I must cut something off and decide that that's not going to be my thing. This is going to be my thing. So I decided that out of my desire, I must let some stuff go. I must let some people go. I feel the anointing happening already in the service. Tell somebody, I got to make some decisions. I got to make some decisions. I got to make some decisions. I got to let something go, somebody go. And then I begin to do in that direction. Do you have any idea how much agency God gives you? All right, let's go to this text. We meet in this text a man who has been unwell for 38 years. Jesus makes his second trip, at least in his ministry, back to Jerusalem. The text tells us that he comes up to Jerusalem, verse 1 of chapter 5, for one of the Jewish festivals, And now there is in Jerusalem, near the sheep gate, a pool, which in Aramaic is called Bethesda. Just like Bethesda, Maryland. Different place, same name. And which is surrounded by 5 colonnades. Here a great number of disabled people used to lie. The blind, the lame, the paralyzed, and so forth. One who was there had been an invalid for 38 years. When Jesus saw him lying there and learned that he had been in this condition for a long time, he asked him a very interesting question. Is it your desire to get well? Like, why you tripping, Jesus? Why you gonna come at me like that? Why you gonna put me on blast? Don't you see me sitting here by this pool? I'm paralyzed. I can't move. I'm doing the best I can. And you gonna come and ask me? Do I want to get well? He says, sir, I have no one to help me into the pool when the water's stirred. While I'm trying to get in, someone else goes down ahead of me. And Jesus said to him, get up, pick up your mat, get to stepping. I want to take you through 4 brief principles in this text that have to do with opening our eyes to what's happening. The first thing is this man has to open his eyes to the grace and the mercy surrounding him. If you want to get well, you got to open, somebody say, I got to open my eyes. I got to see what's really going on. The text is very clear. This man is at this pool called Bethesda or Beit Zada. Whatever you see Beit, B-E-T-H in English, it means house of something. Beit Lahem is the house of bread. Beit El is the house of God. Beit Azada is the house of mercy. He is in a place where he is surrounded by the mercy and the grace of God, and he don't even know it. The text says that he's sitting at the pool of Bethesda, where there are 5 covered porches or 5 covered colonnades. I've been to the pool of Bethesda. There's not much water in it now, but it's still there with 5 sides, essentially. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 down the middle. And these pillars would have had like a pergola over them, and it was designed so that those who were underneath it could be protected from the harsh elements, namely the sun of Palestine. So there are 5 sides, 5 colonnades, covered colonnades. 5 is the number of God's grace, just because y'all didn't know. You're going to get a little numerology today for biblical numerology so you understand. The man is sitting at the house of mercy, which means that there's mercy and grace for his situation there. But he's been coming to the same place, going through the same thing for 38 years. And isn't it powerful to appreciate that you can be in the same situation, going to the same places with the same people and never change your situation? He doesn't realize he's at the house of mercy, and God has whispered to him, if you will, in the circumstances that his grace is available. Because 5 is the number of God's grace. Are y'all tracking with me? Do you see the grace of God in your life? Can you see where God has been kind to you? Can you see where God has been patient to you? Can you see where God has opened doors for you out of his grace towards you? Can you see where God has closed some doors because God was being gracious? Oh my God, is there anybody getting this? That the Lord has already been gracious. Listen, I got grace to get well because God has been gracious. Tell your neighbor, it's grace for you to get better. I don't know what you need to improve in your life. I don't know what needs to be healed in your life. I don't know what you need to move forward in. I just want you to know that there's grace for it. There's grace to get well. Everything begins with the grace of God. Grace is the enabling power of God. And so when we talk about the Spirit of the living God, it is a spirit of grace from God that enables you to do and to become who you were supposed to be. I want to shout to somebody, you ain't got to sit there for 38 years and take that. You ain't got to sit there for 38 years and stay like that. You don't have to sit there for 38 years and keep on saying, well, this is just the way. Oh, who am I preaching to right now? If I'm in the right room, can somebody clap? Online family, can y'all let me know that this is your word? You got to open your eyes. Listen, can I give you one more element of the grace in here? The Bible says that he's near the sheep gate. The 12 gates that surround the old city of Jerusalem. This particular gate was the gate through which sheep would be passed in order to go up to the altar in the temple for sacrifice. And just a few months from now, Jesus will be the sheep who goes through the gate. And John tells us of all the I ams, right? I am the bread of life. I am the light of the world. The 7 I ams in the Gospel of John. You got to read them, get to them yourself. But he also says, I am the good shepherd. And then he says, and I'm the gate. And this guy doesn't know that sitting near the sheep gate is the one who is the shepherd and the gate. Y'all not gonna help me preach it here. He doesn't even, do you miss the Lord when he shows up in your situation? Because he doesn't come like you thought he was gonna come. He didn't look the way you thought he would look. You thought he was just gonna drop some lottery money on you, you will be done. He says, no, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you a church that will teach you how to manage your money. Y'all not gonna help me preach it here. He says, I love you so much, I'm gonna put some grace on you. I'm gonna surround you with grace so that there are people around you who can help coach you to your destiny. And you out there playing, what's the new, what is it? Powerball. No, what's the one for sports betting now? FanDuel. How you know that? You said it fast. You said FanDuel. Somebody shout, there's grace surrounding you. Okay, you're going to have to open your eyes to the people surrounding you. Can we go to this right now? Come back with me, to this text. Right at, where is this? Verse 3. Y'all see that? I want to make sure I'm reading from the right translation because this is so good. I'm going to read it from the New King James, even though I told them the NIV. Don't trip. In these lay a great multitude of sick people. Somebody said they were sick. Blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first after the stirring of the water was made well of whatever disease he had. Now, this man is surrounded. He is surrounded by grace, but he's also surrounded by people who are not well. And it's not a crime to not be well. It's just a crime to keep submitting yourself to the surroundings of dysfunction that keep you from being well. Did I say that too fast? There's no crime in not being well. We all go through stuff. We all have things happen to us. The only crime is if I decide that I'm going to keep surrounding myself with people who are not well. Because even if I got a malady that I can't fix, at least I can get my mind right. They hurt me. They abused me. They left me. Am I supposed to keep sitting around people who keep talking about how they were hurt, they were abused, and they were left? This man is surrounded by dysfunction. And at some point, we all have to decide, I'm done with the dysfunction of this little circle right here. For some of us, the dysfunctional circle is at work. Can I get 7 witnesses in here? The dysfunction is at work. Girl, let me tell you what they did. Let me tell you what happened now. No, I don't even want to talk to you. Sit down somewhere. Get away from my cubicle. Get away. I'm not getting into that dysfunctional conversation with you. Right? Some of the dysfunction that we're surrounded by is in our families. Our families of origin. And y'all know how we are. Family is everything. No. Family is very important, yes. But if you live your life believing that all of your family is everything to you, you'll find yourself surrounded by some dysfunction from people you love. I feel something happening in the room right now. Some of us going to have to break up with some family members, just get a little bit more distance from them. You ain't got to hate them. You ain't got to not take their call. You just got to not keep being around them. Am I just pinky wave at the pastor? This is... Yeah, you got some dysfunctional family. This man is surrounded by dysfunction, and he hasn't opened his eyes to realize that what's got him in the mindset and the frame of mind that he's in is the people he's surrounded by. Did you know that your life is the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, including the books you read, the videos you watch, the YouTube, the IG, the TikTok? Let me try this side. They're looking at me strange over here. You cannot transcend the circle that you're surrounded by. So you got to change the circle. Tell somebody it's time for an upgrade. I had to upgrade my circle. Y'all not going to help me preach it here. I started finding people that I wanted to learn from, people whose lives that I could grow because I was exposed to them. And get in the circle. It's better to be the smallest person in a big circle than to be the biggest person in a small-minded circle. Preach, Reverend, preach. Is your circle starting to change right now? I see your wheels turning. Are your circles starting to change? Yep, I'm leaving him. I'm leaving her. No, I ain't going to be in that group no more. I've been in that group way too long. I ain't getting better. My goodness, I've been like this for 38 years. Can I give y'all a couple more? We're going to get out of here. I told you I'm going to preach short. Did I tell you I was going to preach short? Oh, I didn't tell you that? Then I don't have to preach short. Okay. You want to open your eyes to the lies that are influencing you. Come with me to verse 4. This is a big lie. So he's sitting here at this pool and got all these sick people around him. The text says, for an angel went down at a certain time. Interesting. Into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first after the stirring of the water was made well of whatever disease he had. I started researching in my Bible. Lord, where is the story about the angel who stepped down into the pool and stirred the water and people got healed? 1,152 chapters in the Bible. 1,152. Y'all know that? 1,152 chapters in the Bible, 66 books in the Bible. And nowhere could I find the story of an angel stirring water. Here's what I'm trying to get you to see. It was all made up. It was a tale that had been passed down. Have you ever heard things that sounded like God, but it was really just an old wives' tale? Mama said, God bless the child. Somebody's tripping right now. They're like, oh, snap. Oh, snap. My mother used to say that all the time. It's not a bad saying. It's just not in the Bible. Because some of y'all, like, you swore it was in the Bible. I know exactly where it is. Y'all tracking with me? Sometimes there are things that people pass down as this is the way God is and this is what God does. They said an angel steps in the water. This is bad theology. It is a false statement concerning how God operates. There's no place where God said an angel's going to drop in the water, and if you catch the water when it stirs, then you're going to be healed. Y'all know how people are? Okay, I want you to turn around 17 times. Lay your hand on your head. Put one hand on the Bible. Put one hand on the cross. And God going to heal you. Just send this rag. $250 for this miracle rag. I think I'm in the wrong kind of ministry. Shoot. No, we ain't never doing that. Are y'all following what I'm saying? It's false teaching. And when you build your life on teaching that is theologically unsound, you start building a life that is unsound. And after a while, you don't know how unsound it is because you have so embraced. But people can see from a distance that you're not moving and you're not growing and you're not changing. And this is why you want to submit your life to the word of the living God. This is why you want to be in the word daily. After I preach this good word to you, you should go home on Sunday night or on Monday morning and go right back through the text and be like the Berrymans in Acts chapter 17, who said we had to check it out for ourselves. We had to read it for ourselves. The devil is coming for you because you don't know the word, because you don't have the truth, because you spend no time with the book open. You wait for the pastor to open the book for you, and once a week, you sip on a sermon, and you wonder why you're not getting better. Listen, he wasn't necessarily hungry to get well, but he also wasn't hungry for God, because he was surrounded by grace, but he never sought the Lord. Let me tell you what hunger for God is all about. Can I talk to y'all for a minute? I'm going to wrap this up in just a moment. I got home yesterday from our leadership retreat, and I was, as my auntie says, piddling in the garage. That's the garage. And I heard the doorbell ring, and I'm like, well, ain't nobody here but me. I was just in the yard 2 minutes ago, and I'm in the garage. Who was ringing the doorbell? So I pulled my phone out to see if I could see on the camera, and I'm thinking, like, well, did I hit my phone? What's going on? I walk out and around to the front door, and there's a young lady standing on my porch. Little teenage girl. I'm like, hey, how you doing? She said, hi. Aren't you a pastor? Like, yes. You know, people ask you, are you a pastor? You don't know which direction that's going in. I said, yeah, I'm a pastor. She said, my parents are so-and-so, and they said you should go and ask the pastor because I'm trying to learn how to pray. 17 years old. She said, I'm trying to learn how to pray. I got a big decision to make. I'm trying to get into college, and I don't know how to pray. I told my friends, I'm just going to go knock on the door. They're like, you tripping. You must be crazy. You gonna go, at least you can call him. Don't your parents have his number? You can text him. You can't just go walk on the man's door. We started talking. I said, well, have a seat. Yeah, get you some water. I'm happy to teach you how to pray. You're right up my alley. We start talking about prayer. Before you know it, she's praying the prayer of salvation, and she comes to faith in Jesus. Somebody give the Lord a praise. Somebody give the Lord a praise. I didn't even have to go knock on her door. She just showed up on the doorstep. I'm like, that's the sweetest layup I ever had in my life. I'm like, that was an easy assist. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. What's the point of the story? That chick is hungry for God. When you're hungry for God, You don't settle for crazy theology. You get in the Word. I said, listen, you got a Bible? She said, I don't have a Bible. I've never read the Bible. I said, sit right here. I got a Bible. You going to let me hold? Yes, you can hold a Bible. I'm going to buy you your own Bible. Take this one home. I started teaching her the basics of how to give her life to Christ out of the Bible. She's sitting there like, are you still amazed at the truth of God? My prayer is that we'll be a church who is hungry for the word, who hungers and thirsts after the living God. The Bible says, blessed are those that hunger and thirst, for they shall be filled. All right, let me give you my last principle. We're going to get up out of here. Is this helping anybody today? So leave the dysfunction, leave the lies. That's one lie. I can tell you two more. The second lie that was told basically is that the desire and disposition are not important. Your desires matter to God. Lie number 3 in this text is that my situation is somebody else's fault. Look at what he says in verse 7. Let me take you there. The sick man answered him, sir, I ain't got nobody else to help me into the pool when the water stirred. And while I'm coming, people, you know how selfish people can be. Another person just steps up and they go ahead of me. The water stirred and they just go right in front of you. Snatch somebody out of the way. If I'm trying to get to God, ain't nobody gonna stop me. If I'm trying to get my blessing, if I'm trying to get the miracle if I'm trying to get well, nobody's gonna keep me from doing whatever it takes to get whatever I need so I can be whoever I'm supposed to be. Come on, somebody. Listen, don't let the enemy talk you into excusing yourself. Okay, here's the last principle. Open your eyes to the responsibility God has given you. Tell somebody they're not going to like you. They're not going to ride home with you. They're going to call an Uber because they're mad at you. Tell them, you're responsible. Tell them you're responsible. Say it loud enough to make them mad. You're responsible. To do your part to get better. Come on, we'll wrap it up. Verses 8 through 11. Jesus said to him, rise, take up your bed, and walk. Isn't that interesting? He says, rise, take up your bed and walk. This man has been, listen now, 38 years in the same condition. Can I give you all the biblical numerology of 38 because I had so much fun on this? 3 is the number that represents the unity of God. It represents his divine wholeness. 3 is multiplied by 10, and 10 is the number of God's divine order. It represents the law of God, and it represents the responsibility we have to the law of God, to the word of God. Isn't that powerful? So he says, listen, God's going to be God in your situation, but you're responsible to get in the word. God is going to be God, but you got to get into his law, into his word. That's the other word for law. You got to get into his word. Your 10 is the number of responsibility. 8 is the number, watch this now, of new beginnings, of new creation, of new life. I feel something happening in the room. Can y'all get that? He was on this for 38 years. God came his way, came to tell him that new life has come to your doorstep. And I speak over your life today that God is ready to give you new life. Everything you ever needed, everything you ever desired for your own well-being. If you've been emotionally sick, if you've been depressed, oh my God, is anybody catching what I'm giving? God wants to give you new life. He says, and you can count on me being God. You just get into my word and apply it to your life, and before you know it, transformation is going to start to take place. Come on and give the Lord a praise if you receive that word today. Somebody say there's grace to get well. Grace to get well. Jesus tells them to do 3 things. He says, first of all, rise. He said, wake yourself up. That's what rise means. It means rouse yourself, shake yourself. Tell somebody, I got to shake myself. I got to shake myself. I can't keep sitting here in this condition, going through this the same way. I got to shake myself. I'm going to get some therapy. I'm going to get in a group at Messiah. I'm going to start getting it. Somebody says, shake yourself. He says, rise. He says, now take up your bed. That means destroy it. kill it. He says, whatever you were depending on, resting on, that had you stuck where you were, get rid of it. I told one client, until you stop getting high, don't expect your marriage to get better. Until you get rid of your weed. And he had a whole lot of it. Because you know, the more money you make, the more you can buy. The more you buy, the more you smoke. And the more you smoke, the more dysfunctional you become. I don't know whose word this is. Maybe they're online. There's nobody in the room. It's for the people online. That was your word. Somebody said you got to kill it. You got to kill the thing that's holding you back. This means you got to make some decisions to not keep sitting in the dysfunction and the dysfunctional patterns with the dysfunctional people. He says, and walk. Walking is the proof of a new ability. He says, I want you to start moving like you're healed. I want you to start walking like you're new. I want you to start strutting your stuff. Start stepping on the devil everywhere you go. Like God has healed me. God has renewed me. God has changed me. Is anybody receiving this? Come on, y'all stand with me.